When you receive a new clutch cover from BMW, it doesn't come with all the hardware. So to start off with, you have to remove some of the hardware from the old clutch cover and then remount it on the new clutch cover. Now it's time to put the clutch cover back on. You need the bolts, obviously, the clutch cover and the gasket. Also need a little washer that goes on the gear shaft. The key here is to get the clutch lever arm and axle to pull the clutch release bearing out. So you need to get that half moon shaped, or whatever you want to call it, onto the axle and then turn the clutch lever on the outside of the case to pull it out. Use a little bit of oil to stick the gasket onto the case and also on the gear lever and the other parts, and with a bit of luck it should pop in without any problems. Then just put the bolts in finger tight, and finally use the torque wrench to tighten them up in the pattern designated by the workshop manual. And then it's time to refit the oil drain plug with its new gasket, tighten it up to the specified torque. And the next thing we need to refit is the clutch cable, and at the same time we also need to adjust it. As I'm fiddling about with it, I'm also adding a little bit of ACF 50 onto the threads there, just to try to keep the corrosion at bay. Side stand switch on these bikes is apparently quite vulnerable. It's caused tons of issues with several bikes. So I want to clean it up and just make sure that everything is as it should be. I want to look for cracks along the edges and anything other that might be a problem with letting water or some sort of other things into here. But this one seems fine. On the back of the stand is a tab, where that tab is. Then it's time to refit the gear lever. Put some copper slip or anti-seize on all the surfaces, including the bolt and the axle, and refit it. Make sure you check the angle of it at least once so that it won't be a surprise when you go out riding for the first test ride. It's very important that there is no movement between the axle and the gear lever. If there is, it will simply just eat away the splines, and the only option you have is to replace the axle and the gear lever at the same time. Always make sure anything with splines is tight. If it's loose, it'll go bad. I'm going to change the oil filter. It's at a really convenient location, except that you want to take the sump guard off, because otherwise when you unscrew the filter, all the oil is going to go into the sump. If you think you can get rid of the old oil filter with this, then think again. If you have one of these, which are really good for some cars, think again. It doesn't fit between the exhaust and the filter, so you're left with one of these. Like that. The oil filter. Oil pan drip tray here. Right, so there's the old oil filter off. There it is. That's what it looks like. Right, let's give it a bit of a wipe. Obviously make sure that you don't get any dirt in there. Make sure that the surface is clean. Shiny black. I don't know if this is actually needed, but I'm going to put oil in the filter, at least a little bit. You can't fill it up, because when you tilt it, you will obviously spill it out, and then use your finger to smear the oil on the seal, and then you just put it on here. Quickly, before it leaks out, push it back on there, and that's it. That's the filter change. Time to fill the bike with oil. A few things to make it easier. First, funnel, obviously, but have a hose on it, and then have a little hook. Are the Minimax with the thread in or out? You should not screw it in. Do not screw it in, just dip it in and check the oil level. Okay, so the bike is about to be finished. We've now got the engine back together, and it's got fresh oil and a new filter, so it's all looking good so far. Thank you for watching, and hope you liked it.